Welcome to International Securities Exchange's podcast series. Facilitated by renowned educators, ISE podcasts are intended to teach beginning as well as seasoned investors the ins and outs of trading. To find an updated list of podcasts, please visit www.ise.com/podcasts. Please be sure to listen to our important message following this episode regarding the risks of investing in exchange-traded options.
Welcome, everyone. This is Steve Meizinger, your host for today's ISE webinar. Today, I'm also going to be the presenter, and I'll be talking about FX options Greeks. The Greeks are really important because when you think about an option, you're not only thinking about up or down, but you're thinking about a certain timing. You're thinking about the rate of change of your option because we're not all buying 100 delta options. We're buying different strike prices, and as I said, different times. And so we have days to expiration to worry about. We also have volatility, interest rates, the interest rate differential. So there's lots of things to think about, and all those risks are quantified in a term called the options Greeks. And I'll be going through that in the next 45 or 50 minutes. Again, I want to thank you. I hope that my sound is okay. I see one person says that it's echoing. Is the sound okay? Because I can change the way I do it, although this is probably the best way. It's okay, great. If you're not hearing an echo, it might be your internet service provider. So thank you very, very much for attending today's ISE webinar. My name is Steve Meizinger, and I am the Director of Education at the ISE. One thing that's very important to consider prior to trading options, well, it's actually three things: taxes, margin, and commission. All that's very, very important. I call them moving targets. Everyone has a different situation as far as taxes, margin, and commission. So you want to think about that. Please continue to come back to the ISE for your webinars for your educational needs. And also another great place you can go is optionseducation.org. Lots of strategies. We can do something very simple as buying a put, buying a call. We could sell calls and puts. We can even do neutral strategies. But when we're trading options, we not only want to think about up or down or neutral, but how far and how fast. So how far is going to determine will determine the strike price or the magnitude, and how fast will give you your month that you're going to select from. How do you trade these? I get this question so often. You know, can I set up an account with the ISE? And the answer is no. We at the ISE are an exchange. We are regulated by the SEC, so you will need to set up, and most of you, I'm sure, have an account with an equity options broker. So I think you all know who those folks are, but people like Schwab, people like Fidelity, people like Options Express. Those are the kind of folks that you, interactive brokers, TradeStation, TD Ameritrade. Those would be some brokers that you can trade these options. You can trade them through your equity options broker. Options trading requires knowledge. As an investor or trader, you might want to achieve the following educational steps. And this is when I first started way back last fall, when we thought about the Back to Basics classes. I said, well, this is what we need to do. We need to get all of the attendees through the basic options terminology. We offered a class on that. I try to touch on risk and reward in just about every webinar that I deliver. Today, we're talking about the Greeks, so that's very exciting. That's a whole class just on the Greeks. and then the follow-up plan, and we'll be talking about the follow-up plan in future webinars. The options refresher. If you think about when you're trading currency options, you have a base currency and a quote currency. So the base currency is in the numerator. Quote currency is in the denominator. So if I'm looking at the U.S. dollar against the Canadian dollar, ISE symbol CBD, you might want to buy calls if you're bullish on the U.S. dollar. It's in the base currency. It's the numerator. Same thing with the YOK, or the U.S. dollar against the Japanese yen. If you're looking at the EUU, which is the euro, the U.S. dollar, the dollar is in the quote currency, euro is the base currency, and if you believe that the euro was going lower, which it has in the last 2 months or so, you might want to have bought put options because that number would contract if the dollar starts to strengthen. So it's really important to understand what you're trading, whether it's dollar in the base currency or the dollar in the quote currency. So if you're bullish on the base, you buy calls, or you might want to sell some puts. If you're bearish on the base currency, well, you might want to buy some puts or sell calls. Lots of strategies out there. You know, think in terms of spreads or volatility positions, a lot of other things out there, diagonals. I just want you to think in terms of the pairs. We have spot currency convention. And for those of you that have ever traded the spot markets, well, you know that that should be AUD, not AUM. The currency convention, Australian dollar over the US dollar. The ISE symbol is AUM, followed by the British pound, Canadian dollar, euro, yen, peso, New Zealand dollar, Brazilian real, Swedish krona, Swiss franc. So for those of you that are trading in the spot markets, you know that sometimes the dollar is going to be in the base currency, right here, Canadian dollar, and sometimes it's going to be in the quote currency. And here are the ISE symbols that you would type into your broker. Again, you know you need to have an equity options brokerage account to trade these. Type in those symbols, and you can access the chains, the actual currency option chains. If you like to think in terms of dollar-based, we have those, and those symbols would be right here. AUX, followed all the way down the column to SFC. And we also have dollar as the quote currency, and we have those in 4. Australian dollar, British pound, euro, New Zealand dollar. Lots of ways to look at it. Some features about the ISE FX options: they are options on the exchange rate itself. They're dollar-based with 50-cent strike prices. Tomorrow's expiration, by the way. So when does expiration occur? At noon Eastern time. So we have just a couple hours of trading. If you have a March option, well, you know, expiration is really not going to affect you, but you just want to know that it is, options will settle. The Feb options are going to settle at 12 o'clock noon if you're still long them. You can always close them out anytime from 9:30 until 12 o'clock, though, tomorrow. They're European exercise, which means they cannot be exercised early, but you could always close out of the position anytime prior to expiration. They settle at the WM Reuters rate. I mentioned the brokerage account. We have market makers that quote these options all throughout the day in the trading hours. This is Eastern time, 9:30 to 4:15. We are hoping that we're going to get an extension on these trading hours. We filed with the SEC to have a 7:30 start, and we'll see. Hopefully they'll approve that in the very near future.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. To find more podcasts on options, stocks, alternative markets, and market data, please visit www.ise.com/podcasts.